Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christiana Davidson. Welcome to this channel, which is all about the impact of the narcissistic family system and how it plays out in our adult lives. If you were the child of a narcissistic parent, or you're only just realizing that perhaps this is a feature of the family from which you've come. Now, today we're going to be looking at the covert narcissistic mother again, which is my speciality, although I have significant experience of narcissistic fathers as well. And the title for today is The Covert Narcissistic Mother Sows Seeds of Her Own Shame in You and then waters them. So, the covert narcissistic mother, and this video today is really central. We're going to touch on such deep stuff here today, so I really encourage you to stay right through to the end. We're going to be looking at projection versus projective identification, and I'm also going to give you a tool at the end to begin debunking the projective identification that you may have experienced. Okay, so the covert narcissistic mother has key areas of deep shame that she needs to get rid of or have someone else deal with instead for her. So how does she do this? She constantly projects these unresolved issues onto her child, onto others. Now, the thing is, look, all of us project at times. It's a common defense mechanism that many of us turn to unconsciously. However, it's slightly different when it comes to the narcissistic parent, because it goes from just a simple projection out, a momentary thing that's done on the spur of the moment, and it's there and it's done and that's it. With the covert narcissistic mother or father even, it goes into projective identification, and that's slightly different. So let's explore that a bit more. So with a narcissistic parent, it's more than just random projections onto you. With the narcissistic parent, it's projections, specific projections into you, in order to get you, the child, to identify with that shame too. That is the purpose of the projections of a narcissistic parent that distinguish it from just projection. I hope that makes sense. So it's not just a momentary thing. This is something they want you to identify with, not just in that moment, but for life, to take on as your identity, to relate to that shame as your own, as that is me. So in other words, it's different to projection, which is often momentary or a spur of the moment defense mechanism. Projective identification is a very purposeful, although some say unconscious, sort of planting of a seed and then watering it over time, again and again, so that that seed grows within and takes over. The narcissistic mother wants you to live in, to enmesh and become one with her shame, so that she's not alone in it. You see, then she will have someone else who has the same issues as her. And it sort of creates a bit of a emotional regulation, a bit of a safety for her, and means you and she are bonded at the core. You have the same story. You're bonded at the core. But now you can be the one to sort it out. And you are the means of her distancing herself from it as she disowns it in you. So the narcissistic mother causes her child to introject her projections. And how does she do this? Well, she exposes you over and over again to her emotions, her experience, which become dominant over your emotions and your experience. It's like she stamps down her emotions and her experience on yours, and you internalize hers as your own. She also insists on her thoughts, her views, by getting you to doubt your own, or by shaming you for having different views. She tells you also who you are, both good and bad traits. But these are all, in fact, her traits, which you then introject. Now, the influence, the impact of this enduring and sustained abuse has been likened to sustained gaslighting. This is the CPTSD bit. It's complex. It happens over years in a drip feed way. A brainwashing, a total takeover. It's a watering of those seeds that mum plants in you, or your narcissistic parent plants in you. The seeds of mum's issues. And then it creates a confusion within you and a deep insecurity about who you actually are separate to mum. In fact, many of my clients can't even imagine having a separate identity to their mothers, that they feel they can't escape her. It's like, how can we ever get out of this web, this combinedness of story? Now, growing up, as you know, between the ages of 0 and 7, you're in a state of hypnosis. And it's then that you internalize this false narrative, this false story, someone else's shame and fame story, until it sort of makes your authentic experience, your authentic you, seem like the false you. Your authentic self seems to you to be the false self. In other words, it's like you're trying to put on an act if you think of connecting with this other part of you, this other unrealized self that has been suppressed. You almost come to believe that your authentic self is that you've made it up, that it's a made up you. So, for example, just one little example here of this projective identification. A narcissistic mother who hates her body and feels fat, and maybe she doesn't take, maybe she is a little bit overweight or whatever. She will project this onto you, her child. She might do it, calling you big boned, or, oh, you've always been a little bit chubby, or, gosh, you've always been a big eater, even from when you were a baby. Oh, you've put on a bit of weight, haven't you? Or call you names like fatty, or I've heard that from clients, or piggy even. Calling you solid, you're very solid in your structure and your frame. You'll eat anything, won't you? Or, oh, you've never been athletic, or that kind of thing. Or she'll insist on a specific clothing size for you, which may not be your size. It may be bigger than your size. And she will feed you these projections from childhood of how she feels and sees her body or herself. And she'll constantly remind you, both verbally and covertly, of this. And sometimes it's just on the spot. You know, it's not planned. You might mention something about, I don't know, maybe say you're talking about some new garment that's fashionable, and she might say, "Oh, you know, we'd have to see if there's a size 16 or something like that." Um, and she might do this passive aggressively, sort of, you know, just through her actions as well, like buying a cake when you're on a diet, or showing you the chubby baby photos, or sending them to you, or you know, even written things like, you know, if you've decided to run a marathon or something like that, and saying, "Gosh, and you know, I never thought of you as a runner." Um, just, you know, the little drip feed, watering that plant that was nurtured way back in childhood, ensuring that you can never escape from the identity that she has told you is you. And this is the great battle that goes on in my clients, because they struggle to believe that that identity was projected. And so what we do on the subconscious then is we begin to separate you from that projective identification, and your authentic self, which is there, begins to come back to life. It's almost like we pull out the weeds, and we give back that story, that shame story, and the fame story sometimes, to the mother, to the parent. So as a result of this drip feed, you know, about the body, you take on the body shame into you, and it becomes your story then, not mum's. Although it also bonds you to her, because she can then empathize. Important this, she can then use that to empathize with you, and you think, "Gosh, she's so understanding of this, you know, she really understands and cares for me." All the while, this is her own stuff that she's got you to take on, and she's still able then to make it your issue, not hers. This is why you get triggered later in life, and that is a wonderful sign if you do. Because deep down, your authentic self, your authentic you, is screaming to be set free of the cloak of mother's shame story, to no longer identify with the projections. And if this resonates with you in any way, if you're caught in that struggle of trying to be free but still feeling trapped, wanting to break free and discover your authentic you and become your authentic you, I would delight to work in you, delight to work with you rather. And you know, hypnotherapy can be so powerful in this. I have a course specifically for this. It's called my self-image program. It is phenomenal. You know, I've got testimonials coming, people experiencing real shifts and a real connection within that's been missing. But meanwhile, one way that's very helpful to discern the projected story is to explore how you are telling the story yourself. So here's a little task for you that may help. I would encourage you to take a sheet of paper and to imagine that you are gossiping with some other people about you. Write down everything that comes up, and that will give you the beginnings of the insight into the projected identity that was nurtured within you in childhood. I hope that helps everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe. And any comments are gratefully received. I do try to respond to them all. If you'd like to work with me, like I said, please check out the link in this video. I'll also leave a link to an article on projective identification and booking for a free consultation with me. Take care, everyone. See you soon.